Hey everyone, just wanted to get together with a CMP briefing. For some of us, we haven't ridden there in a while, and I thought it'd be good just to kind of do a little bit of an overview to get everybody a little bit focused on what we're doing. Yeah, it's a track day, so we have to take that into mind. But I think there's a bunch of things that we can get accomplished. So let's dive into it. I love CMP. I think CMP is a really fun track. I don't have a ton of time there. I've got like 3 days there years ago, but just had a great time there. I think it's fairly technical, but there's so many great visual cues here that honestly make your life super easy. So yeah, it is a busy track, and to go, obviously to go quick there requires some stuff. But yeah, let's just kind of dive into it. So coming around just in general, right? We'll dive into some things a little bit deeper. In general, yeah, turn one is slower than you think. And turn one is, in my opinion, very important because how you deal with one is what ends up happening in two, and how you take three. I think this 4, 5, 6, 7 section is probably the most difficult on the track, at least as far as bike placement is concerned, and where you're putting your eyes and the cues there, which we'll talk about. 8 is faster, coming into 8 is faster than you think. Standard exit corner, how you move your eyes to the exit, super big deal. Obviously, we've got the kink is a big deal for sure. This corner here, this is a great drawing, right? Because you think it's 90 degrees, it's way more than 90 degrees. And so we've got to be really cognizant of how we're exiting that. How here, what is this? I think 12, 13, something like that. How you get the weight off of your hands here to feed the throttle is a big deal. Visual cues are going to be this access road, which we'll get into as well. And then the last corner is also slower than you think. So kind of an overview, just a general overview. So let's look at where we're going to put our brain space to start off with, and what sort of really matters. And where it starts to matter is in turn one. So let's dive into this a little bit. Hang on. Let me rotate this guy around. Yeah, actually, this is fine. So great. And let's move this guy around. So one in my opinion is a big deal, and it also lends itself into sort of what you're doing into two. So the main thing is, again, let's not overcomplicate this too much. Is basically let's not rush it. But our bike placement in here is really important, because what we're trying to do is we need to hold this for a millisecond, because how we hold this and how our trajectory comes out of 2 determines what we're doing in 3. And we don't want to be too low down into 3, but we don't necessarily need to be all the way over to the right. So all that is dependent on what you do right here. So I think the main thing here is just make sure you hold on to the radius of 1 a little bit. And then when you bring the bike back over for 2, you're looking at a middle of the track or slightly to the right of middle of the track right there. And that'll make a super big difference there. And it really does help open up 3. Visually, the end of the curves here are really going to be your friends for our exit references. Almost every exit here where we're going to use the curves and take a look at it. So, and we'll watch a video here in just a second that sort of brings that into play. So again, the big takeaway here is, yeah, of course you're going to have massive straight up and down braking here. I hope so. But we just want to make sure that we respect that little spot in 1, because that's going to give us what we need in 2. Big report card out of 3 is making sure that we can accelerate as we go past the apex, right? It's positive acceleration as we go past the apex there. So this section here is fairly diabolical. And we have to think about, okay, what is our goal and what are we trying to accomplish? And this section, we have to work backwards, right? Our goal is this. Our goal is this, right? To be able to accelerate off that. But now we've got to connect these two. So here we've got this 4 section, big entry corner in 4. And when we think about where we want to end up, right, we want to end up somewhere here. We actually want to be a little bit low in 5. So a little bit of an earlier turn in for 4 puts us, down here, puts us wide, which is where we want to be for 5, which then puts us low into 5, puts us wide out on the exit. So pretty, I mean, that's really not that big a deal. I don't think this section or this section's a big deal, but now we have to connect them. So this is where your vision, I think the vision here is a big deal. It's really easy to look here when we don't want to look here. Instead, as we start to accelerate, we're trying to get our vision out here. And you'll see the curb ends. And when the curb ends, there's like some patches of dirt out here, but basically you want to keep bringing the bike out till past the curb, and that's what helps open this up. You're going to find a lot of people that are way low in there and are essentially lost. So again, it's easy to look inside here when in fact we want to look out here to get the bike where we want it to go. So pretty big deal there. And again, the report cards are, 4 is essentially a big entry corner. You might have to go back to the throttle between 4 and 5, totally okay. And then accelerate, and then just remember that there's another direction change down here. So we have to be deliberate with that, whether that's you going to the brake or rolling off, whatever it might be. Just remember that there is a very deliberate direction change in there. So, okay, let's move down to, what is this, 8? 8, let's move this guy here. Yeah, 8 is actually not that big of a deal. It's fast coming in, and as you'll see from the video, these guardrails really close things up. Lots of turn-in references, just tons of turn-in references. But you can see how the exit opens up. So a slightly earlier turn-in, right? Slightly earlier turn-in is going to put us out wide, and end of the curve is a great place to jump your eyes. This is a place where we want to essentially have fast eyes because the exit opens up so much. So having some quick eyes there makes a huge difference. Okay, so let's go down here. Yeah, so the kink is really interesting. I mean, obviously it's crazy fast, right? Super fast. And I think there's a couple of things going on here with the kink that we need to talk about. And one of it's bike dependent, right? Say the 400, you're just going to go through there tapped. Obviously the 600 are going to have to roll. But the goal is, we want to have some acceleration as we go through the kink. Okay, what does that mean specifically? It means as you turn in, we want your throttle to start to pick up down in here. We don't want to bleed off too much entry speed. We want to roll through there. We want to let the suspension do the work over kind of the bumps in there. But the idea is in this area, we want to be able to make sure that we're driving off. Again, you can use the end of the curve here as a good visual point. You can use corner worker station, whatever you want to do to pick up your eyes. But the goal is to have the bike slowed and pointed so we can start some acceleration past there. Also, you should want to make a decision on how you're entering. What is this, 10? I think it's 10. On how you're entering that. I think I have a track map up here for just a quick second. 11. Yeah, 10 is the kink. So yeah, how you want to enter 11. That decision needs to be made in this area. So whether you're trying to pass somebody, whatever it might be. So whether you want to come into 11 low or middle of the track, maybe open up even more than that, smaller bike. I mean, just make that decision back here so you don't get into 11 essentially surprised. So, all right, let's move down into 11. I think 11 also is another corner that's essentially a little hard, and mainly because people, they think it's 90 degrees when it's not. And how you follow that curve, think of it as a long apex, right? You have to hold on to the apex for kind of a long time. And this is also a corner because there's not great exit references. Yeah, there's a little bit of curve there, but not really. You're going to think about an acceleration point. So as you kind of approach the end of this curve on the left, you can think about starting to roll the throttle on and how you want the bike to accelerate off there. But there's a lot of patience in this area. Obviously, really good hard braking in there. Brake release is later than you think. Brake release is going to be down in this area somewhere. And that leads to 12, right? So what are we going to do? What are we going to do with 12, and what is our goal with 12? I found 12 to be also a fairly difficult corner. It's one of those corners you kind of feel like you never got it right. But the real report card is, how are you getting off the corner? And this is actually, I think, very similar to, say, 5 at pit, where you exit, your eyes are going to come here. And then as you kind of get to the middle of the track or towards the exit of the track, right to the side of the track, your vision has to focus over here. So visually, you can use the end of the curb, but then this access road right here is just a wonderful place to put your eyes. So you're just trying to connect your eyes, again, to here, and then connect your eyes to here. Another point right here is how we get weight off of our hands, because this is such a big acceleration corner. If we have weight on your inside hand, it's going to be very difficult to move that throttle. So core engagement here is a really, really big deal. No different than turn 5 at say, pit. So coming in to 12, honestly, it doesn't matter a ton. A middle of the track approach is probably best. I don't think you need to be more than 2/3 out. We certainly don't want to get to our apex too early. So again, same thing as 5 at pit, right? So sort of a middle of the track to 2/3, and we just don't want to get to that apex too early. So again, not a super big deal, but one where again, thinking more about the exit and how you want to be on the exit will help dictate what you're trying to do on the entry. Okay, last corner honestly is not super difficult. It's just slow, and it's slower than you think. Let's go this way. And it's just slower than you think, right? So it's the whole idea, and you're going to see 100 people, blow it over the weekend. But again, big exit corner, and yes, you're going to have really great straight up and down braking here. Once you've turned in, you'll have great, really good brake pressure. But just remember, what's the goal, right? The goal is to be able to start to pick up the throttle as you go past the apex. And again, visually, the exit and the curve is great. You kind of got a double curve right there, which we'll show in the video in a second. So yeah, honestly, not that big of a deal. Just don't rush it, and make sure that you're working on getting a good drive. So let's go to a video. And the video that I liked the best was actually a car video. This was just the way it's laid out. You can just see a lot of the track with this video. So we're going to watch this. And I screwed it up, which there we go. I have to remember to unhide my annotation bar here. Okay. Yeah, so coming down here to 1, again, it's very flat, very featureless. There are brake markers, so paying attention to the brake markers are there. Access road also is a great deal. This is a place where you have to think about not having your eyes too far in front of you. Otherwise, it's going to be easy to overbrake. So really thinking about where your vision is, and where essentially what your goal is where you're going to be letting off the brake. So make sure I don't screw that up again. There we go. Yeah, so here, I really like this. Parallel with the track at turn in, And that particular person is turning in right after the 1 board. I think you're going to be similar on a bike. There's that other road, little access road to the right as well. And then right in here, right, do you see how just a little bit of extra direction right here? And not giving up on direction here is just a really big deal. Because when we bring it back over to the right, we want to make sure that we're pointed correctly for 3. There we go. Yeah, I like that. This person brings it over a little bit in the car because they can. But the idea is, look where they're turning in, right? They're pretty much 2/3 or almost to the right. And that's really helps open up 3. Fairly early turn in here because the exit opens up. And you can see, right, they're already driving past the apex. So very, very good. Room on the exit for sure. See, they're turning in slightly before that 1 board. Why? Because that puts them right there where they want to be for 5. And then you can hear the acceleration here. So hear the acceleration. And again, you can see they bring it out and hold it out. And again, there's not a lot of features out here, but the idea is we don't want our eyes to go in too early. Let's talk about that. If your eyes go in here too early, you're going to give up on being out here. So holding our eyes out here, whether it's like, okay, I'm going to wait till whatever that, that fence or whatever the heck it is, or I'm going to find something out here, a mark out here that holds me out there to give me the right trajectory here. It's just really important. So we want to finish that segment. Again, there is lap time here. I think it's huge right there because coming onto which is essentially the second fastest part of the track. And then again, you can see driving it past the apex. I thought that was great. Good, some brake markers here on the left. And again, you can see the fairly early turn in. Why? Because the exit opens up. And again, the curves are just great visually here. Getting your eyes ahead right here, also very, very important. Coming into the kink, cars can cheat this. But again, you can see he's driving it past there. Same thing here. He's taking a middle of the track approach, which I really like. Again, look how long the apex is, right? We have to wait, but you can see the curb on the curb on the left is a curb on the left ends. Again, you can use the porta-john out there. You can use the corner worker station. There's some visual things out there to look at. He opens this up quite a bit. I don't think I would open it up that much, but you get the idea. And again, just like 5 at pit, right? We've got the curve on the left, and then our eyes can go to that access road on the right. And this just lets this really open up. And again, we've got some brake markers in here as well. I thought he was late on the throttle there. Surprise. So you get the idea. We don't want to overcomplicate this. The curbs are a big part of reference points here, but just understanding a little bit of what the track is all about. So, all right, there you go.